Back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Connor Williams, and we're back with another one of our 24/7 news report videos. As always, we start with the headline news, and the headline news this evening is that Everton have had a loan bid rejected for Aston Villa striker Danny Ings. Villa will only allow him to leave on a permanent transfer. That's come from Dominic King of the Daily Mail. Um, we did run a poll as we normally do on the Toffee Blues saying, would you take Danny Ings at Everton? Leave us your thoughts. So far, 2,914 of you have voted in that. So quite a large amount of the fan base there. Good little test, isn't it? And 57.9% of you said yeah, 15.6% said I don't know, and 26.5% of you said no. He also scored last night for Villa against Wolverhampton. So classic Everton there. Being linked with us is probably one of the best things for you. Being linked but not coming is wonderful for players' careers, it seems. Luis Diaz was linked, went to Liverpool. Kudus, since being linked, been on fire. And now Danny Ings gets a goal with an immediate effect. But yeah, he did score against Villa last night. And Unai Emery was asked about the future of the English striker as well, with him scoring and obviously Unai Emery doing the interviews. The news literally just broke as well before it, pretty much before it anyway. I remember reading news Villa were playing, saw him bag his goal, didn't think that bode well for Everton in their way of getting him. But yeah, Emery then pretty much shot down any Ings speculation. So he just basically said Danny is a very good player. He played in the first 11 against Brighton and he scored two. He's usually very good impact. Today we needed him and he helped the team. I am so happy with his commitment and performance. I spoke to some players about the possibility of leaving, but not with him. I didn't speak to Danny about it. The idea is to keep him in the squad. I don't know if there's been an offer from Everton. I don't know, and he means as if there's been an offer. The club hasn't told me anything. So if he does go, it looks like it'll be behind Unai Emery's back, which is not a good way to start off a new managerial appointment. More than likely, though, he's not going to go. I don't think Villa would do that to Unai Emery this early into his Villa career. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who the other players he spoke to were, as there are a couple of Villa players that we've been linked with in the past, and a couple that fans have quite liked. One of the main ones being Watkins. I don't think they will get rid of Watkins, but you never know. But yeah, so that's pretty much the Danny Ings. We're linked with him. It's not happening. It doesn't look like it's happening at all now. Very short lived. We also have the Everton and Southampton are both interested in Villarreal winger Nicholas Jackson. Southampton are above Everton in the race to sign Jackson and have offered a loan with the right to buy. That's come from Tuto Mercato Web. Again, we ran a poll this time. The poll got 1,306 votes. It's open for another 18 hours. 49.7% said yeah, 41.3%, including myself, said I don't know, and 9% said no. Don't know enough about the lad to give my personal opinion on him. I know he's a winger. It's where we need. He can play as a forward as well. But I don't know enough about his goal inputs, or his goals and assist input to truly have an opinion. If I'm remembering rightly, he is quick though. He is absolutely rapid, and we do need pace down those wings. So it's interesting that we're linked with him. Do I think it'll happen? Possibly not. Interesting that Southampton are ahead of us when it looks almost destined for them to be one of the teams to go down. I mean, I know people will be very quick to remind me that we look like one of the teams to go down, but there's something about Southampton where I struggle to see where their next win comes from, in all honesty. And yeah, very interesting to see that they're ahead of us. Obviously, they're linked with the Orisic thing, and I do have a um update for that, which I'll tell you later. We also have that Decore could depart Everton. This is something that's been rumoured all window. According to The Athletic, the Blues are open to negotiating a permanent sale for the 30-year-old Mali international. Fulham did want him, but apparently, well, Marco Silva wanted him, but apparently Fulham don't really think the 30-year-old is worth the risk. He did have offers coming from, I think it's the United Arab Emirates. So interesting to see what happens there. We also have news that Everton have reportedly inquired about the availability of Eintracht Frankfurt's striker Randall Kolo Muani. According to RMC Sport, Everton have already approached the Bundesliga side about the possibility of signing a forward. The report goes on to claim that Frankfurt want to make the 24-year-old their biggest sale ever, so they value him at 60 million euros, which is 53 million pounds. Liverpool and Tottenham are also linked. So he's going to cost an arm and a leg, which means it's probably not going to happen. And there's two other teams linked with him that are unfortunately higher than us at the minute and more likely to. They're just bigger, aren't they? They're more likely to get him because they are bigger at the minute. So yeah, we'll have to knock that one on the head as well. And it looks like we're going back to step one. We also as well had reports that Lampard met with Kevin Thelwell and Denise Barron-Baxendale. The Times reporting at Finch Farm after the Brighton loss. Frank Lampard did speak today, and he did say about his Everton future. He said, "I have never and would never seek reassurances. Part of my job is to focus on the job in hand, day to day, game to game, and that is the absolute reality of it. I don't need reassurances to come to work and improve a little every day. I'm not hunting for any reassurances. I think I came here nearly a year ago now when my feeling when I walked in the building was that Evertonians have such a passion for the club. I thought we were going in the direction of relegation. That's my honest feeling. We managed to have an incredible time together to stay up, and everyone saw images. I lived in that moment with the fans. In my mind, I went home that evening, had a glass of wine, and was like, this is where my work begins." There's a whole lot of there's a whole lot of there. I think he's doing very well to say what fans will like. And I do think the split between him staying and going in the fan base is about 50-50 now, from what I can see. It might not be, actually. That's just on social media, which is only a small percentage of the fan base. But from people I speak to as well, it seems to be a bit split. But that will appeal to the people who like him and want him to stay, and he is well liked, regardless of the results or the stats, which shows that he's on par for one of the worst managers. His record's certainly worse than Benitez's last year, and I don't remember many clamouring to defend him last year quite like this. But the less said about that, the better, clearly, because one of them, isn't it? But yeah, interestingly, he said his work begins now when we're back in the same spot a year on. I must admit, I don't see much improvement from a year on, and we've had about 6 signings in the summer. But it looks like he's not looking for reassurances. It's a bit tricky. Obviously, there are rumours that he's potentially leaving. Sam Cunningham of the Paper Sport have said that Everton are going to stick with him for the upcoming fixtures against Southampton and West Ham, but they are crucial to his future at the club. Paul Joyce said that Lampard will be given the Manchester United game. However, a positive reaction to the defeat will be required for him to keep faith for the Everton board of directors. And Footy Insider then said Everton are expected to sack Frank Lampard ahead of their game against Southampton next week. He's expected to stay in charge against Manchester United, but it's becoming increasingly unlikely that that'll be his last match. 3 different sources saying 3 different things. Nobody has a clue that means. So you've got one saying he's going to get both the Southampton and West Ham games, which are 2 weeks, which is easily 2 weeks. You've got one saying he'll definitely get the United game. He'll get longer if we have a positive result. And then you've got one saying he'll get the United game. But I mean, that the Footy Insider one sort of backs up the second one, saying, but it's looking unlikely that he'll continue after that. A positive result there would keep him in the job. Everyone knows that. But they're still very contrast. I think giving him the West Ham and Southampton's a massive gamble. If it's not working and it doesn't look like it's clicking, which it's not, because the stats and results aren't adding up to say it's clicking. West Ham, I still think will be tough regardless of the slump they're in. Southampton has to be a game we've got to win at Goodison Park. A loss there and we are really in trouble. So it's interesting that they're going to roll the dice on those two fixtures when they're quite important. We've still got the derby to come as well in the midst of this, Arsenal to come in the midst of this. So it's brave. We did this last season with Benitez, hung on far too long, far too. Fad Majiri seems to there's this illusion that Everton sack managers too much, and we do. But the problem is, it's not that he's trigger happy like a Watford. In fact, he hangs on a bit too late, in my opinion, to sack managers. The reason we've been through 8 of them in the last 6 years isn't because he's trigger happy. It's because we never pick the right manager. There's no structure to this club. A couple of people have said it, and a couple of channels have, and it's frustrating. But you look at Brighton, and Brighton replaced Potter with De Zerbi, and that's a really good fit. And Brighton are a really good football team anyway before De Zerbi, but they look like a decent team again. They are a good team again. There's no downside for them. So yeah, it all comes from the top to the bottom. I don't think anybody's blameless in this. The infrastructure needs to be right, and we need to be picking managers that suit a certain style. And unfortunately, we don't do that. We go from somebody like Benitez, who's pragmatic, to somebody like Frank Lampard, who's a bit more open, to somebody like Ronald Koeman, to Roberto Martinez, to Marco Silva. They just all splattergun around. Speaking of Roberto Martinez, Dominic King of the Daily Mail says that he still has admirers at Everton and is available should the club decide to sack Frank Lampard. I think if you watch Belgium in the World Cup, there's enough of a reason not to do that. I think whoever his admirers are at the club are probably half the reason the club's where it's at. He's had his time. It was good when it was good. It was awful when it was awful. I think you got to remember the good was really good. It was some of the best I'd seen Everton play, but the bad was bad, bad. And he had a very good team with us, with Lukaku. Ross Barkley was on form back then. The team's not as good as that now. He doesn't have got a goal scorer like Lukaku to bail him out. I don't think Roberto Martinez. I think him and Frank Lampard and Wayne Rooney, they'd all be like for like. You might as well just keep one or the other. We also have from Dominic King that former Burnley manager Sean Dyche is favourite to take over from Frank Lampard if he's sacked. This one for me makes more sense than Wayne Rooney and Roberto Martinez, because he's pragmatic. He'll get us defensively sound, which is what you need to stay in a league. All right, you could argue these teams aren't the most known for the most creative football, but look at our team now under a manager who's meant to be playing open football. Our team's not got creative power as it is. So maybe we need to stop thinking, oh, let's get somebody who's going to try and make this team create 10 chances a game. We don't have the players for that. We need a man who's going to make them hard to beat, set up well, and use our strengths, which is Dominic Calvert-Lewin's a big lad with good aerial ability and a head. Dwight McNeil, as much as he's struggling, does have a wonderful left cross on him. We need to start using some of this team's strengths to our advantage instead of trying to force and pigeonhole them. Also, just want to put out, because I mean, don't get me wrong, Dyche didn't inspire me 2 years ago. I rolled my eyes at him, but I think he's a necessary must now to get us over the line. But I think people are a bit harsh to judge him because they're like, oh, he took Burnley down. Last season, he was sacked way before Burnley were done. I think once they sacked him, that they'd put the final nail in, and he got Burnley to Europe. And people are on about Carlo Ancelotti's 45, is it, points, or 49 he got. Sean Dyche got Burnley 40 odd points twice. He did really, really well. Just because it's Burnley and his football isn't nice, don't let that go against the accomplishments in football. Not all football has to be played like Man City. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Sean Dyche. We also have some injury news. Mina has returned to full health after his illness. I'm pretty sure if he gets any game time on Friday, we'll be saying that he's injured again. Yerry Mina being at full health means nothing nowadays. Gordon is coming to the end of his illness. Calvert-Lewin was fatigued after the Brighton defeat and will be assessed Friday. Patterson's out for 6 weeks after a medial ligament injury. So, yeah, quite bad that one for Patterson. We also have the news that Los Angeles FC are in talks to sign Everton goalkeeper Eldin Jakupovic. That's come from Pete O'Rourke. Anybody else forget this lad plays for us? just me, just me. I completely forgot this lad was at the club. Him, Begovic, Billy Krellin. Not too sure why they're who's the other fella as well? He's about 40. Oh, I can't remember his name, but there's another goalkeeper who's probably never going to get game time. Um, there's also Orsic as well. I did say I had an update for you on Orsic. I've saved it till the end. It looks like he's going to Southampton, which is why I saved it to the end. It's a bit yeah here, but he's going to Southampton. It looks like that's back on now. And Southampton are also exploring signing Michael Keane on loan. That's come from David Ornstein of The Athletic. I reckon we let him go on loan. They'll play him. He's not very good. Agent Keane, they'll go down. Hopefully that means we stay up. No, we need to get Michael Keane off the books. I think his Everton career was done a while ago. And if Southampton are willing to take a chance on the loan, then that's fine by me. But that's all we've got time for. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your thoughts on anything I've discussed this evening. And I'll see you very soon.